want to do it. This is the kind of talent and the kind of crowd that will turn on this football team if they don't put something up today.
All right, we're set to go in the Astrodome. And we are underway. And it will be Lorenzo White who is going to return the far side. And he just keeps battling his way up the sideline. And Bucky Richardson is going to be the quarterback. And Bucky Mania, believe me, has taken over the Houston Oilers here in Houston. And here he comes, a young man that simply makes a lot of things happen. This is that offensive line. Bruce Matthews, a big question mark. Can he hold out Bruce Smith? Gary Brown, he is the running attack for the Oilers, and Bucky Richardson will be relying upon him this afternoon. All right, Houston starts from their 32-yard line. And he gets to Gary Brown. Off the left side, and he's going to pick up about 4. And it'll be second down. Defense for Buffalo. Cornelius Bennett, but the big man, 78, Bruce Smith, and that's who we will be watching this afternoon. And the secondary, a very young secondary, they're looking for a leader.
They really are. None of those guys is very loud. If there's one guy that could probably stand out by performance, I think it's Matt Darby. He's a big-time hitter.
Second down. And here is Gary Brown again. And they'll come up third and short. It's going to be third down and about 2 yards to go for the first down.
I think early here, two things have surprised the Buffalo Bills. One is I don't think they really expected Bruce Matthews to open up at left tackle. I think they expected that change later if something bad went for Brad Hopkins at left tackle, who was starting before. And they've come out just running right at him at the left side. The strength of this running line is not the left side. Even if Bruce Matthews is there, the strength is the right side.
Third down and a yard. Ball game just underway. No score is yet. And here is Brown again, and he kind of burrows his way off of that left side. It'll be close to the first down, and Bruce Smith is there to cover him. Now, Bruce Smith, number 78 for the Bills, a premier defensive end, but he has only half a sack. But that is not the true story of the way he's been playing.
You don't measure Bruce Smith by how many sacks he has. You measure him really by talking to coaches and players and how much attention he gets, how much respect he gets. He's a defensive lineman. He's very unusual. He's not real big, but he's extremely strong. Plays his arm completely out away from the body.
And here is Bucky's first pass of the ball game, and he completes it far side. Haywood Jeffrey, 50-yard line.
One of the keys to this game for Houston is getting the ball to Haywood Jeffries early. He's got 14 receptions coming into this game, but you got to get your big play guy, your impact player out there. Take a look at the protection involved, and see, it's not a real big adjustment for Bruce Matthews inside pass protection-wise, because this is not a line that does a lot of straight drop back. It's all footwork and it's all sliding.
So it's second down and 3, the ball at the 50-yard line. Two-step run, and he goes right back to Jeffries, and he is open, and he has the first down. So Bucky Richardson, the former Aggie from Texas A&M, and the crowd favorite here, picks up his second first down of the drive. And I was talking with Bum Phillips, former head coach and now broadcaster for the Houston Oilers, about the two quarterbacks, Cody Carlson and Bucky, and he said he likes Bucky because he moves the team. He always moves the team. He said doesn't make any difference if it's the fourth team in preseason or if it's the first team. He moves the team. And they come back to the ground. Here's Gary Brown. He's going to pick up a couple of yards.
You know, the only comeback I have this whole thing with Bucky and Cody and whatnot, you've got a run-and-shoot quarterback in Cody Carlson. You have an exciting young quarterback who loves to move around and scramble and make things happen in Bucky Richardson. That is not the M.O. of a run-and-shoot quarterback. The run-and-shoot, for all its freelance reputation, is very much a timing offense. Cody Carlson is very good at this timing offense. The running and the exuberance and the athletic ability of Bucky Richardson works against him in this run-and-shoot because his receivers aren't sure when the ball's going to arrive.
Second down and 8. Ball at the 39-yard line of Buffalo. Here's the drop and the pressure. He goes deep, and he overthrows his intended receiver, and that is the tight end, Pat Carter. So it'll be third down and 8. And it was Bruce Smith who was applying the pressure to Bucky Richardson.
You know, this could be a very frustrating offense for Bruce Smith because you can make a good move, you can do a good job pass rushing as Bruce Smith does here. But if you don't get there right now and fast, you're not going to get a run-and-shoot quarterback. You have to almost have a clean miss to get immediate pressure on a quarterback, and that can be frustrating to a great defensive end because people will say, hey, he doesn't have many sacks.
Well, you know what he told us yesterday? Quote, I hate the run and shoot. I really hate it. And that's pretty much what he said. Third down and long. Scrambles, elusive, and is going to be sacked from the far sideline. Just simply couldn't get away. Maybe a face mask call. Kurt Scholes was chasing him for Buffalo. He is the 6th back for the Buffalo Bills. It is, as we suspected, a face mask.
The question here is whether it's a 5 or a 15, Charlie.
Five-yard face mask, 24 defense, 5 yards, repeat third down.
So it'll be third down and about 3 yards to go. We'll take a look at the face mask.
Right here at the very end. I mean, this is a quarterback we talk about his ability to run and move around. You know, how many quarterbacks try to straight arm defensive backs?
Wait, back that up, can we? I believe Bucky also had a face mask.
Well, no, it wasn't offsetting.
It wasn't an offsetting face mask?
It's good straight arm style for an offensive player. It's face masking for a defensive back.
Third down and 3, 34-yard line. And we have motion. Flags are down. Gary Brown off the right side. They will stop the play. And it looks as if it was Webster Slaughter who got a jump on it.
That's going to be our new simulating the start of an offensive play. It used to be offside.
Or illegal motion. Here it is.
False start prior to the snap. 84 offense, 5 yards, repeat third down.
So we are back where we started just a moment ago. It's going to be third down and 8. And we're back out at the 39-yard line. We have no score in the ball game. We're about 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the first two. The Oilers taking the opening kickoff with a return to the 32-yard line. And now from the shotgun. And it is incomplete. Coleman, the intended receiver. It will be fourth down and 8. And you're almost in a no man's land. You would say, well, late in a quarter, late in a half, you might go with a long field goal attempt. But with the new rules, no chance at all. And so Rich Camarillo will be kicking, and Jeff Burris, the #1 draft choice out of Notre Dame, is the return man.
Camarillo's a very accurate punter and very adept at placing the ball out of bounds inside the 20 to the corners.
He hands this one out. And it gets past Steve Jackson. He thought he had positioned himself perfectly to down it inside the 5. In reality, he could have moved back under it and caught it. No score. Back in a moment. Attended Willow Ridge High School, who, by the way, last night beat Lamar 28-21. All right, the Bills starting from their own 20-yard line. And it will be Thurman Thomas. As Thurman goes, so go the Buffalo Bills. We've got a flag on the play. Bubba McDowell makes the tackle. Preliminary signal, it will be a holding call. Let's take a look at that defense. And the front 7 for Houston. It's pretty good. Ray Childers, of course, is always all-world. Chris Dishman is having another outstanding year. He, by the way, has an interception in 8 of his last 11 regular season games.
But, Charlie, the big change defensively, really, is that Bowden, number 59, Joe Bowden, is starting for Eddie Robinson, who had a dislocation of his thumb last week against Dallas. That is a big change.
Bowden has been inactive. He has been bothered with a quad problem, and the pass is complete out to the 20-yard line. Andre Reed, that is reception number 600 in his career.
That's right. 2 weeks ago, we saw Henry Eller catch his number 600. Now Andre Reed. Used to be an unbelievable milestone. Now there are 13 receivers that have caught 600 passes in the history of the NFL, and you at best give this receiver some room because he's off to a hot start.
Yes, he is. We have flags on the play going deep down the sideline. It is incomplete. John Beebe, the intended receiver, as he come back to sort out the flags. Guess who Andre Reed has joined in that 600 club? Well, Art Monk, Steve Largent, James Lofton, Charlie Joyner, who is here, Jerry Rice, Ossie Newsome, Charlie Taylor, Drew Hill, Don Maynard, Raymond Berry.
Offside, 90 defense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Gary Clark, and you mentioned, of course, Henry Ellard, who did it a couple of weeks ago. So spot the ball now at the 25-yard line. And it is second down and 5. Thurman Thomas, he picks up the first down.
I tell you, if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I test the inside of this Houston Oilers defense. They don't have Sean Jones. They don't have William Fuller. And Marv Levy's got to say, look, I've got a situation up front. I've got a big physical offensive line, and their defensive line, though fairly talented, is extremely light. And they can be moving. You saw that. They were pounded off the ball.
First down, 31-yard line. No score in the ball game. Little play action move and a sack. And Glenn Montgomery coming free. That is the 6th sack for the Oilers this year.
Well, yeah, I like to refer to this by an offensive lineman as a Nolan Ryan, who was a big star here. Watch Montgomery on Corbin Lucina. That was a no-hitter. That was a complete no-hitter.
Well said. So it's 2nd and 17 now back at the 24-yard line from the shotgun. The handoff underneath the 30. And he is out to the 29. So he gets 5 of it back. It's going to be 3rd down and 12. Glenn Montgomery and Ray Childress on the tackle.
You usually tell you're watching a very patient veteran offense. When they get in a long situation like that, they don't panic and try to get the whole thing back. They just want a good sizable chunk so they can get to a normal 3rd down.
Kelly from the shotgun. Has time. He goes deep over the middle. It is intercepted. A diving interception by Steve Jackson.
Big play for Steve Jackson. He came into this game knowing Jim Kelly and Andre Reed were going to test him. I noticed that I mentioned that Kelly and Reed were off to a big start. They're going right at Jackson. Jackson says, right back at you.
Rangers.
49-yard line first down. We have no score in the ballgame as Gary Brown is immediately wrapped up by Cornelius Bennett. Cornelius Bennett played his collegiate ball at Alabama. And by the way, congratulations to the new Miss America from Alabama, Heather Whitestone. Isn't that a great story? It was so fabulous last night on NBC.
You're touched. I like that.
She's a neat lady.
I called home last night. My wife and daughters were absolutely pulling for her the whole way.
Yes. 2nd down and 10. And Bucky is set. And Bruce Smith is the man who got in that ongoing battle between the Bruces. Bruce Smith and Bruce Matthews. This time Smith wins.
Last time it was the breakdown on the right side with Cornelius Bennett coming free. Look at Bruce Smith. Did you notice the way those arms never got collapsed? He had Bruce Matthews at arm's length, pulled him, and came right through him like that. That's Bruce Smith's strength, is his strength and his quickness. He's probably 25, 30 pounds lighter than he was last time these two guys played against each other at the end of the 86 season. He's a lot leaner, he's a lot smaller, and I think he's stronger.
And he told us his body fat was down, what, from like 20% to 7%. All right, Bucky in the pocket. It is knocked away, and Bruce Smith almost intercepts it. Phil Hansen, number 90, the defensive left end, is the man who knocked it away. And so Rich Camarillo will come in to kick, and that means that Jeff Burris will be returning for Buffalo.
Bubba, you had late move on you? Yeah, what kind of rush you doing?
We talked with Jeff Burris yesterday. He said the biggest adjustment from Notre Dame to the pros, the speed of the game. He's going to let this one bounce, and it may be down. No, it's going to take an Oiler roll right out of bounds at the 5-yard line. When we come back, Buffalo will have the ball at their own 5. No score first quarter.
Does best. He's a gut coach. He's not a guy who goes by computer readout. He tries to guess and get in Jim Kelly's head.
And Jim Kelly hands off to Thurman Thomas. The defense gives him maybe 3.5, possibly 4 yards. Ray Childress is there to make the tackle along with Al Smith. So it's going to be second down.
You know, when you talk to the Buffalo Bills about this defense, they say, gosh, they blitz a lot. But this is a defense that blitz to stop the offense, not just the pass. They blitz to stop the run.
Kelly to throw, and he has Andre Reed, and the pass is complete. He slips the tackle, and he picks up the first down. Almost to the 25-yard line before Bubba McDowell finally gets him. And the Bills going with that hurry-up offense, the no-huddle offense. Listen, Jim Kelly likes this. He likes this pace. He said, we've been too slow.
It can't be too fast for Jim Kelly. He'd rather get right on the ball, snap.
Pressure from the outside. He gets the pass away. He takes the hit. The pass is complete to Andre Reed. Boy, now that is a true veteran move by the quarterback. He knew he was going to get nailed as soon as he released the ball.
We talked about Eddie Robinson and that dislocated thumb last week against Dallas. The big question was, will he wrap up? Will he try to make a tackle using both arms? And he used his shoelaces, his arms, his helmet, everything on that one.
And a gain of 18 on the play. Buffalo now out to their own 42-yard line. Remember, they started at the 5. Kelly to throw. As time goes to the far side, pass is complete, and then stepping out of bounds is Don Beebe. That'll stop the clock. Chris Dishman was there with the coverage, and all of a sudden the Buffalo Bills offense is in high gear.
Well, this offense, though they have no huddle, reminds me a lot of my old offense in San Francisco in that it's very methodical. Defenses say you got to go 12, 14 plays. This offense says, fine, we can go 12, 14 plays to score. We don't mind. We're very, very patient.
It is second down and about a yard and a half for the first down. And here is Thurman. He's got it. He goes to the 45-yard line before Montgomery and Childress stop him.
You know, I'm not sure how much Jeff Fisher wanted to blitz coming into this game, but if you watch the physical matchup, Lamar Lathan, coming from the backside 57, is very much a speed player, but at his size, if I'm Buffalo, I'm going right at him. And right at him means Jeff Fisher's going to have to blitz a lot.
And Lamar is just learning that position. He's a linebacker. We've got a flag down. Thurman Thomas, the ball carrier. And back to the story of Lamar Lathan. He said, I no longer fear Buffalo like we did in the past, but I'm fearful about playing defensive end because I don't know what to do all the time.
I don't know if he fears them, but he's going to sure respect them.
Illegal formation, 66, lined up in the backfield, 5 yards, repeat first down.
Well, we looked at tapes all week long, Charlie, and noted these linemen for Buffalo, Jim Kelly could give them a handoff and never really have to move. They line up deep in the backfield, and they got Kraft, the right tackle, for being too far back. But these guys stretch the rule to the limits.
And the new rule is?
Well, the helmet has to be somewhere within the waist area. It used to be the numbers in the center. The offensive linemen have to be within the waist area of the center. And sometimes they're not within the waist area of the quarterback.
Moving on the 4-minute mark, no score, first quarter. Here's pressure. Beebe pulls it down. And he is stopped right at the 41-yard line by Darrell Lewis. So he's going to pick up about 8 on the play. Remember, it was 1st and 15. So it'll be 2nd down and 7. The ball in Houston territory. Again, no score here in the first period, but another good drive.
And so far, to get those 61 yards, Jim Kelly has taken some shots. That's the nature of the run-and-shoot type offense. Make no mistake, this is basically a run-and-shoot. They just use the tight end. The quarterback gets hit a lot.
And how much of this offense in the hurry-up does Jim Kelly call? What he told us, about 90 to 95%. He likes that, and he likes this. The performance of Thurman Thomas, first down, Bubba McDowell with the stop.
You know, the whole idea of an offensive line is to put your bodies on their bodies and make their bodies move backwards. That looked like their bodies moving backwards. That looks like their bodies moving backwards, sideways, out, and nowhere near the guy with the ball.
And the guy with the ball again is Thurman Thomas. He's going to pick up about 4. Lamar Lathan with the tackle for Houston. We mentioned the fact that Thurman from Houston returning home. He said 70 tickets last night is what he told us that he had to come up with.
Better he than me. That's what at NFL ticket prices, it doesn't take long to figure out that's pretty good. You need to make the Thurman Thomas money to buy 70 tickets.
There you go. And he goes to the right side behind the blocking of Jerry Kraft. And one of the things yesterday that Thurman said about whenever Kraft pulls and leads to the opposite side. He said he's not blessed with a lot of speed. He said, as a matter of fact, I walk along behind him when he is pulling.
We both were California. I grew up there. Jerry Craft's kind of like an earthquake. The earth doesn't move fast when it happens, but it can be devastating when it does move. Once he gets it going. I mean, look at this guy. That's another way he's program weight thing. I mean, that's about 2 DBs and a kicker.
Well, the program weight is 6'6", 351. And I think the scales only went to 350. They said, well, I had one more and we'll count.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, you know, they want to say who's bigger. He always says, I'm bigger than anybody else.
I spot the ball at the 21-yard line.
Imagine growing up, he didn't lose too many fights for that last piece of chicken on the plate, do you think? Who gets that? Who do you think gets that?
It is gone. The chicken is gone. Thurman Thomas has rushed for 40 yards in the ballgame. And Lamar Lathan is there. And we've got a flag.
Another example of the team speed of the Houston Oilers with a hold against Buffalo. They are a very fast defense. It's another blitz.
Holding 68 offense, 10 yards, repeat first down.
Kenneth Davis, the last ball carrier, as Thurman Thomas getting a bit of a breather. So move the ball back out to the 31-yard line. And it'll be first down and 20.
Look at the size difference of those two lines just standing next to each other. I mean, I can't say it enough. If I've got that big white line, I go after it.
Kelly lots of time, dumps it off underneath to Davis, and he is dropped immediately by Bubba McDowell.
The Bubba McDowell signature play for these Houston Oilers they can't get enough of, especially now with Jeff Fisher, is Bubba McDowell hitting to and hitting through a receiver. Davis doesn't see him. McDowell sees Davis. We see the result.
Bubba plays cornerback, safety, also plays linebacker. We asked him yesterday, you get 3 checks? And he said, I thought about it. I thought about it. All right, Kelly to throw. Pass is complete, and this is Thurman Thomas. Inside the 25 to the 24-yard line for number 24, Steve Jackson, who has the interception in the ball game, is the man who makes the tackle.
A very telling thing that's happening right now, Charlie, you got to keep track of is Thurman Thomas's participation in this offense. He says, I got to be involved early. I got to carry it and I got to catch it. And right now, he is most of this offense. He is really carrying this offense.
Third down and 13, no score. We're coming to the closing moments of the first quarter, and here is Thurman. And he goes to the 18-yard line. It will be 4th down, and Steve Christie will come in with a field goal attempt.
And for all the excitement of
contact, 4th down.
For all the excitement of that possible fumble here in Houston, that was further down by contact once he had hit the ground.
So the line of scrimmage, the 19-yard line. It is 4th down and 8. The ball will be spotted at the 27-yard line, so a field goal attempt of 37 yards by Steve Christie. His career long is 59, so well within his range yet. But first things first, that is the end of the first quarter, so we will have to wait. He'll be kicking at the other end. It makes no difference. We're indoors, scoreless after 1. Back in a moment. 37-yard field goal attempt. And Buffalo leads off the score. They are out in front of Houston 3-0. We'll be back with the kickoff in just a moment. Buffalo kicks out. And on the return, John Henry Mills. And he is stood up, then he fumbles. And it is recovered by the kicker, Steve Christie.
Oh, talk about adding insult to injury. You fumble the ball straight into the kicker's arms when you're doing exactly what the coaches have you back there for. Not a real speed guy. Not a let's start right, let's start left. Take advantage of the new rules and new yardage. Take it straight up the field. Run tough, run hard. Keep the ball. Slight detail. Forgot to mention that one. And the kicker picks it up. Oh,
the kicker picks it up.
I'm surprised he didn't try to pick it up with his feet.
All right, right, so Buffalo with the turnover. They have the ball at the Houston 42-yard line, first down, so turnovers are even. One on each side of the ledger. Houston unable to capitalize on the interception earlier. And Buffalo with great field position. Now will Kelly go to the end zone right here?
I think you keep pounding the ball, and if you don't pound the ball, you do exactly what you just said. You take your shot off a turnover early.
And here's Thurman Thomas. He almost breaks it. He picks up about 15 yards on the play. Al Smith finally stops him. So Thurman Thomas now with 70 yards of total offense, rushing and receiving in the first half.
And you're taking advantage of what your big line does best right now. That's run blocking. Jim Kelly knows they're not together pass blocking wise, so he's saying, Thurman, you take it.
And here is Thurman again with a straight shot to the 24-yard line. So he picks up 4 more. Al Smith, Michael Barrow on the tackle for the Oilers. So Buffalo now leading 3-0, and then the fumble recovery on the ensuing kickoff with an opportunity to go up 10-0.
And a smart quarterback like Jim Kelly is dangerous here. He knows they've got a blitz to stop. He can take advantage.
But this time they're waiting on Thurman Thomas. Al Smith stops him. For an update, let's go to New York.
All right, Charlie, at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, this is the opening kickoff of the game. And you know what? Marshall Faulk isn't the only Indianapolis Colt who can fly. Look at Ronald Humphrey, 95 yards with the return. The extra point gives the Colts the 7-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've gone to the second quarter, Charlie.
And here in Houston, Buffalo leads by a field goal, and they have a third down. Deep in Houston territory. And he gives out to Thurman Thomas. That was a visual audible that Jim Kelly was calling off of the no huddle, of which he had already given the audible, which was the play. And now it is fourth down, and so Steve Christie, who recovered the fumble, has the only 3 points. Will try to pick up 3 more.
Now, one of the advantages of having this no huddle is having an audible off an audible off an audible to your halfback. Something they do on a regular basis here in Buffalo. I think it takes a lot of coordination. It's a real sign of a veteran confident group that you think your center can't hulk and hit that guy without looking.
Steve Christie now from 42 yards out. And he has this one. So Christie is hit from 37 and 42. And Buffalo leads it 6-0 back with the kickoff. This time it is Lorenzo White from the 5-yard line. Lorenzo to the 20. He's going to return across the 25 to the 26-yard line. And most important of all, of course, for the Houston Oilers is he hangs on to the football. And here is Frazier, the most talked about move. Of course he is. And he receives moderate pay. And here's Gary Brown. For Houston offensively, that is only their 12th play. Buffalo has run 21 at this juncture. 12 minutes time remaining first half with Talley and Hanson. And a look at the total offense and a large share of Buffalo's offense, courtesy of Thurman Thomas.
Right now, the Houston Oilers are not capable so much of running the ball. They're having a problem right now since the early good start running the ball, stopping penetration, and Kevin Gilbride, the assistant head coach, or really the guy that steers the offense, has got to look down the field at Gibbons.
Second down and 8. Here's pressure. Steps forward, throws, pass is complete. It'll be a first down. Webster Slaughter pulls it down at the 41-yard line with Kurt Schultz and Mickey Washington right behind him.
Now here's a matter of adjustment by wide receivers, because this play is designed to be out of here now. Now it's an adjustment of the receivers to the quarterback as he steps up. Slaughter does a good job, but I really think they got to get a guy like Gibbons involved. That's the receiver people worry about. Webster Slaughter is coming off a bad knee, and people are awfully impressed with the job he's done rehabilitating. But if you're going to worry about a guy that's going to beat you deep for a big play, it's going to be Ernest Gibbons.
Houston with a first down at their 41-yard line, trailing 6-0. A pair of field goals for the Bills, and Gary Brown is wrapped up at the line of scrimmage. Cornelius Bennett and Bruce Smith was there.
Well, you saw the first 2 or 3 plays of the game. The Houston Oilers came right out running left behind Matthews and company on the left side. And I think they did something you really don't want to do. They made Bruce Smith and that right side of the Bills defense a little mad. And right now they're mad and they're getting penetration and they're stuffing the blockers of the Oilers.
And from an offensive standpoint, what does that do to Bruce Matthews?
When it gets into your head, you start thinking soccer.
Bucky back to throw, scrambles out right, has some running room, stops, looks, and then he throws, and it is tipped, almost intercepted. Jeff Burris had one hand on it, he had a second hand on it, and he couldn't pull it in.
Well, he had plenty of opportunities at catches. Bucky throws a ball here that a inexperienced, enthusiastic quarterback would probably throw, one that doesn't belong to be thrown. He has yet to learn the old best pass you throw is one maybe you don't throw.
Go back for a moment. You said think soft. Now, what do you mean by that?
Well, when you're getting run over and you're getting stuffed a lot as an offensive lineman, you start thinking a little softer, a little more hesitant. It might not come initially in your physical makeup and the way you're playing, but eventually it will tell.
Richardson back to throw. Flags are down. Here's the middle screen to Gary Brown. And Gary Brown has the first down if it stands up. A flag at the 43-yard line. Darryl Talley with the tackle. It goes for 18 yards.
73 defense lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty is declined. First down.
That's Mike Lotus, the nose tackle, who scored a touchdown last week, recovering a fumble in that ball game.
Talk about fantasy football. Anytime a nose guard can do something you notice, much less score, it's a high point.
From 41 to 41. From the Houston 41, just outside the Buffalo 41. First down for the Oilers. To the throw on first down. He goes deep, double coverage, incomplete. Webster Slaughter, the intended receiver. Thomas Smith picked up the cover. It'll be second down. Early assessment of quarterback Bucky Richardson.
Man under fire. I think this Buffalo defense is going to come after him because they're afraid of the fact that he's scrambling, but 2, they know he's a young quarterback who has that sort of youthful exuberance, and that youthful exuberance works against you in the NFL. Your stats so far, 4 of 9 for 47 yards, Charlie, but more importantly, he has spent almost every one of those 9 attempts trying to avoid someone in his own backfield.
He said last week against Dallas, his first start of the NFL, that his head was spinning. Here's the draw. And Gary Brown running with authority, 34-yard line. A gain of 7, third down and 3. Darryl Talley with the tackle.
The thing I really like about Gary Brown is a good runner who runs in a crouch. Watch his body. The knees are kind of bent, and he's always leaning forward, much like a guy that was a pretty good runner here. I believe he went to Texas, Earl Campbell. Yeah,
the old Hall of
that
Famer.
Guy, yeah. He much like that. He's got that lower center of gravity that seems to be down around his hips.
Third down and 3. And here is Gary Brown. And this is going to be close. He may not have made it. Bruce Smith is there to cover him. Why do they keep running at Bruce Smith?
I think it's better to go at Bruce than away from Bruce.
Why?
Bruce is so quick, has got such good ability to go down the line. When he's free, I think he's more dangerous away from you than he is at you.
It is going to be 4th down and short.
I think in this situation, the Houston Oilers lose absolutely nothing going for it. You go for it and get a first down.
Al Del Greco is coming in.
Not a popular decision with a lot of the offensive players. Gary Brown, the running back, is kind of motioning to the sideline and screaming. Bucky's kind of saying go for it, but these are the decisions upon which sometimes coaches are open for criticism. And why not?
The Oilers take a timeout to stop the clock. They were running out of time on the play clock. Now Bucky is...
So Jack's going to take a shot. I like this. He shows confidence and gives confidence to a young quarterback, a struggling line, and a quality running back.
And he fumbles the snap. And it didn't bounce far enough. to be a first down, even if he recovered it.
Sounds like you're going back into baseball. It didn't bounce far enough.
It did.
You know you're getting desperate offensively when you're hoping to get the ball to bounce far enough.
Yeah. And so Buffalo is going to take over on down. Unless there was some scooting underneath the pile, because it just came right down and he fell on.
Oh, there'd have to be some serious scooting. Serious scooting. Not to be confused with scooting.
With your average scooter.
Not your average scooter couldn't scoot it far enough. Gee, what a surprise. Guys on both sides are pointing first down.
Yeah. Jim Kelly is ambling out to the field, which kind of gives you an idea that at least he thinks it's Buffalo.
I'm very surprised that was a fumbled snap, because it's obvious it was a quarterback sneak. And the criticism on a fumble snap is usually the quarterback doesn't stay with the center long enough. And how can you not stay with the center on a sneak?
And now the Houston Oilers are going to get that measurement that they wanted one down back.
Now, this is the first example we've seen so far. We've talked a lot about Bruce Matthews being at left tackle. Here's an example of a new center in Eric Norgaard at a critical time having a problem with the exchange.
It is shy of the first down by, about that far. Which translates to about 8 to 9 inches.
And when the decision process comes up for a Jack Pardee and a Kevin Gilbride, you might get it. Bucky doesn't even come close to getting it. He's so enthusiastic he forgets to put his hands on the ball. And I can tell you with certain determination, it is not Eric Norgaard, the center's fault. That was the quarterback. The ball should not go through the quarterback's hands.
Buffalo a first down, starting at their own 32-yard line out to the 35. It goes for 3. It'll be second down and 7. Marcus Robertson with the tackle.
Say at the rate they're going, the defensive backs of the Houston Oilers are going to get real sick and tired of seeing that guy right there, because he's been in their defensive backfield a lot so far.
And here is Thurman again. This time it's Eddie Robinson along with Glenn Montgomery on the tackle. And Bill Brooks checks into the offense on a photo review.
Those are like 8x10 portraits. I mean, we call those Polaroids. Polaroids aren't that. Polaroids aren't as big as that guy's hand pad. That thing's 8x10. How can you not see something on that? Look at the guys watching a picture that big.
Third down and 5 from the shotgun over the middle. Pass is complete. Should be a first down. Andre Reed pulls it in. He's having an exceptional afternoon. He joined the 600 club. His first reception of the ball game is 600 in his career, and he keeps adding to that total.
And he's just continuing the great start he's off to here in '94. You see him grimace a little bit. That's the joys of AstroTurf. You know, grass gives, the earth gives, and turf doesn't.
First down, 43-yard line. Buffalo in their own territory. They lead by a pair of field goals, 6-0. And here is Carwell Gardner, the fullback. Here is Carwell Gardner, the fullback. And I wanted to mention it twice because he's kind of the unknown running back for the Buffalo Bills. You just simply do not hear from him that much.
His job is really to lead block. And, you know, linebackers like we saw Michael Barrow there, 56, hate Carwell Gardner. Gardner is a guard that gets to wear a 30s number.
Second down and 8.
Showing big blitz.
Almost intercepted. Throwing into coverage. Read the intended receiver. Chris Dishman and Marcus Robertson almost picked it off.
Dishman is a very talented, very intelligent defensive back who's probably best known for his ability and willingness to take a risk. And right there was a willingness to take that inside route, go for the risk, go for the interception. He ran into Robertson.
Dishman is down. We have an official's timeout. Let's see if he does. His third down and 8. He sets up looking left and he spins out from the pressure. A flag is down. He goes deep down the sideline. If it stands, he will have the first down, but you suspect he's going to be offensive holding.
I've been there. I know. When a quarterback rolls out like that and starts moving, offensive lineman, good position turns into a hold in a heartbeat.
So the completion to Bill Brooks is erased.
Holding 74 offense, 10 yards, the previous spot.
It's on left tackle Glenn Parker, number 74.
He's played just about everything so far this year for them. Metzelaars clears inside. Watch Parker. Got the hands outside. That's kind of holding to start with. And that's kind of helping his momentum, you might say. Yank him by the shoulders and pull him by your quarterback.
That is the 5th penalty against the Buffalo Bills, a total of 40 yards. 3rd down and 18. 3 receivers out. Down the far sideline, it is incomplete. Now for an update, let's go to New York City. Chris Moore will be kicking. Travis Hanna is the return man. He has outstanding speed. He takes it on the run and then is dropped around the 33-yard line. And it's Kurt Schultz who made the tackle. Throwback weekend in the National Football League. You go back to the year 1960. This is their first year in existence. And here is a look at the team photo. Billy Cannon, former Heisman Trophy winner, was one of their stars.
You know, we got kind of a star here with you, Charlie. I mean, look at this guy here. Yeah, I wondered.
Here's Gary Brown. They celebrated, of course, the championship, the AFL championship, at Jefferson Stadium, a high school stadium here.
Yeah.
And along with Billy Cannon, George Blanda, Charlie Toller, Charlie Hennigan, Lou Rimkus was the head coach, and Houston defeated the Los Angeles Chargers by a score of 24-16.
The Chargers were always involved on the wrong end of those early championship games, weren't they?
Yeah, they lost a few and they won a few early on. Sure did. 2nd down and 5 at the 38-yard line. Buffalo leading 6-0, a pair of field goals. And Gary Brown just rolling around the left side, finally rolled under by Darby and Jones.
This is a flat field here. It's indoors, but Gary Brown looks like he's heading downhill here as he hands out a little shoulder pad sandwich right there. I like the way this guy runs. He's low, he's aggressive, and he's not matching Thurman quite yet. He's got 11 carries for 40 yards, but he is a real first-class runner.
First down, 48-yard line, and here he comes again. I think one of the most interesting stories, just to kind of bring you up to date, is this time last year, Gary Brown was sitting on the bench. He played very sparingly the first 8 ball games. In fact, he only gained 110 yards. Look at that, 16 carries in the first 8 ball games. Then Lorenzo White, who was the lead back, went down with an injury. And he finished the last 8 games with 892 yards, just over 1,000 yards. Everybody said, where in the world did he come from?
Well, he figured he didn't need the first 8 games with that.
He was well ready. Second down, back is complete to Haywood Jeffries. Spot of the reception is the 39-yard line of Buffalo, and it's going to be a first down. Thomas Smith with the tackle.
Well, so far in this drive, the Oilers have done 2 things. They've revitalized their running game, and right here they get the ball back into the hands of Haywood Jeffries. Haywood Jeffries is not the guy you worry about killing you long, but he is the guy that can get balls for you on a regular basis, 8, 10, 12 yards. You see the kind of yards he picks up and the kind of number of catches he's had over the last 4+ seasons.
First down, 39-yard line of Buffalo. 2:39 and counting. Time remaining in a very quick first down. And here is Brown around the corner. He cannot make the turn. Darryl Talley at age 34 pulls him down from behind.
Well, speed might be affected when you get a little older, but obviously strength is not one of the things affected, because Darryl Talley had sort of a finger hold on the jersey and pulled down a very powerful running back.
So it'll be 2nd down and 10, as the Oilers may be content just to take the countdown to the 2-minute warning. Buffalo leads it by a score of 6-0. Steve Christie with a pair of field goals of 37 and 42 yards. There is the 2-minute warning. We'll be back.
He might be a little flustered on it.
All right, 2nd down. He rolls out, gets the screen. He just ducked this underneath to avoid a loss, and they're going to flag it. And that's an inexperienced throw, because I think he really felt that he could do that and it would not be a penalty. Now, the only time that you can do that, as soon as you step back, from the center, or if you roll outside of the position of the tight end, and then you ground it at the line of scrimmage or past the line of scrimmage. And see, he's asking, he says, you know, what is the rule?
You watch how far he goes back. He's about 6'7", bang. You know, he just never gets any further than straight back behind the quarterback. Doesn't get outside behind the center, rather, outside the tackles. And I don't know if that's so much an inexperienced thing from the standpoint of not knowing the rules. I think that's sort of a, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill it. He's trying to do the right thing. He doesn't know what's the right thing.
Third down and 21. Low snap from the shotgun. We've got flags. They'll stop the play. It is third down and 21. The ball at the 50-yard line. Now, remember, just a moment ago, they were at the 39, figuring if they could pick up somewhere 10 to 15 yards, they would have a legitimate shot at a field goal to go in at halftime trailing only by 3. That turns out to be a very costly misplay by the quarterback.
False start play of the snap, 74 offense, 5 yards, repeat third down.
And that's on Bruce Matthews, the left tackle. I don't blame him. If I had Bruce Smith across there, I'd get an early jump on him every time.
Well, he's also got an unfamiliar voice. You know, Cody Carlson's been dubbed the guy here. He's got most of the reps. Now you got another quarterback in there with a different snap count.
Third down and 27. And he goes deep far side, and he overthrows everybody. Webster Slaughter, the intended receiver, but he was looking at triple coverage led by the rookie from Notre Dame, Jeff Burrows. And so what was an opportunity for the Oilers a moment ago now could well become an opportunity for the Buffalo Bills. Rich Camarillo will be kicking. Burrows, if he gets any kind of a return, and that hurry-up offense of the Bills, they can pick up another 3 before halftime.
Well, minute 48 is enough time for 2 scores in this hurry-up offense, especially with 3 timeouts.
It is taken at the 10, flips the tackle up the sideline, tippy toe, and a little bump and out. Nice return to the 24-yard line, and a good kick under a lot of pressure. Be sure to stay with us at halftime for Domino Pizza's NFL Live halftime report. Greg Gumbel, Mike Ditka will bring you up to date on all the scores and highlights, and Greg is going to have a visit with Broncos quarterback John Elway. That's all coming up at halftime today. 45 yards on the punt. A nice 14-yard return for Jeff Burrows. And there's the time remaining, 1:37.
I think everybody came into this game expecting 2 high-powered, exciting offenses go up and down the field. See one of those 41-38 games and be extremely thrilling to watch. And it's sort of ground to a halt here the way the play has been, partially due to penalty and partially due to the bad execution.
Buffalo from the 24, first down, a pump fake. He wants to go deep, has a man deep, a one-handed grab. Does he hang on to it? Andre Reed. Reed fake, came back, went up the sideline, had only a half step on Dishman, went out with the one-handed grab right on the fingertips, 36 yards, timeout, back in a moment.
You know,
the ball just on the Houston side of the 40-yard line. And it's a first down. Both ball clubs with 2 timeouts remaining. Here's the screen to Thurman Thomas. He set it up beautifully. And Thurman is going to pick up about 10 yards on the play. The clock continues to move. And now you see the no huddle, the hurry up, and they're used to this. I mean, this is normal procedure.
This is their 60-minute offense, Charlie. They don't worry about a 2-minute offense. They stay in the 2-minute offense.
It is second down, about a yard to go. And here comes the blitz by the Oilers, going deep, man covered. He drops it. Oh, my goodness. Andre Reed, I thought he had it again. I'm not sure how that one got away.
Charlie, I think he did have it. I think we have to give a little credit to Steve Jackson. Watch what happens. Right in the hand. Look at the right hand. See the right hand of Jackson just gets in there, strips through the left arm, and takes the ball away. Great defensive play.
So it is now third down and 1. Clock is stopped. 45 seconds. That is the time remaining first half. This one is too tall for Don Beebe. Darrell Lewis was there for Houston. He couldn't pull it down. It is fourth down, and that means that Steve Christie will come in with his 3rd field goal attempt. He is 2 for 2 in the ball game, hitting from 37 and 42 yards out.
As slow as the pace at times has been in this game, if they make this, it's only 9-0. A lot of enthusiasm for the defense, I think, for Houston going in at halftime. Their offense, though, has got to figure out a way to make something happen in the air.
A 48-yard field goal attempt. And it is good from 48 yards away. And Buffalo, for a moment there, what was it, about a minute or so ago, it looked as if that they might be trailing, they might be leading only by 3. Now they lead by 9 with 37 seconds left to go in the first half.
Shield on.
The reflection of the sun at the,
exactly.
at the top of the Astrodome. And here is Lorenzo White from the 8-yard line to the 20. A little bit of a hesitation around the 21. Will be tackled at the 24-yard line by Mark Maddox. And so the Oilers will go to work now with 32 seconds left to go first half in the numbers of Bucky Richardson.
And an interesting situation for Dick Corey, the offensive coordinator for the Oilers, and Kevin Gilbride, the assistant head coach. What do you do with your young quarterback? Do you risk him making a mistake, or do you just sit on the ball, go in and try to game plan at halftime? I happen to vote more along the latter. I think you try to run out the clock and get this guy off the field.
John Henry Mills is the ball player, the Oiler, who is shaken up on the return, and he is being administered to.
Gilbride, Dick Curry have to look at the tape, look at the snapshots, and figure out what they can do with young Bucky Richardson.
So a first half. I'm a bit surprised. I expected a very high-scoring shootout ball game, and we have a very defensive 9-0 first half.
Well, they've taken very much the approach from the Buffalo standpoint that they're doing the take what they'll give them, and what they'll give them right now is the run. They don't want to give them the big pass plays, and Jeff Fisher has done an effective job with the blitz of taking the majority of the pass plays away.
And the second half is now officially underway. And here is Don Beebe on the return. He's got the corner. He's out to the 30, the 35, the 40. An outstanding return for Don Beebe. Lane Bishop finally runs him out for the Oilers, but Buffalo will set up shop in excellent field position.
Don Beebe has excellent speed. He's probably running at a real good clip right about here. Watch him slow down and try to almost kind of sucker the Houston kickoff team into slowing down a little bit with him before he accelerates. 35-yard return by Don Beebe sets up Jim Kelly and his Houston offense in a position where they can afford now early in this drive to take a shot down the field.
From the 49-yard line, but the open on the ground is Thurman Thomas. And he has a couple of yards to the Houston 49, where Ray Childress and Michael Barrow make the tackle. It's going to be 2nd down and 8. And Thurman is still down. Oh, he was just a quick rest.
As all great running backs do. They're in no hurry to get off the ground. Look like they're on about their last breath before they get to the huddle. Then they run by you like a blur on the next play.
Particularly in this offense of Buffalo, you've got to catch your breath when you can. And here's Pete Metzeler, the tight end. He pulls in the reception. That is his 5th reception of the year. He had 4 in the first game and none last week, his first of this ball game.
And one thing you didn't see on that last play was Thurman Thomas with the ball. What he did without the ball was pick up a completely free Lamar Latham coming around off the corner. He did a great job of picking him up. You know, it's something that people don't talk about enough with guys like Thurman Thomas and Emmitt Smith and Barry Foster. A lot of the great running backs now in the league are not one-dimensional. They're able to catch the ball, and more importantly for their offense, they're able to block.
You talked about the changes in Buffalo offensive line. Yesterday, Thurman told us because of those changes, he does have to block more. And this time he's running with the ball, and this is what he does so well. He goes to the 41-yard line. Bowden and Smith with the tackle.
It's just short. It's going to be about, maybe about a foot short of the first down. And this leaves a very, very little mystery as to what Buffalo will do with the scenario they've had in the first half of just bludgeoning the ball at this smaller defensive front of the Houston Oilers.
You saw Marv Levy. Well, Jim Kelly spoke so highly of Marv. Now I think he's disgusted. He wanted to go for it, but every quarterback wants to go for it.
Of course. I almost think the way their defense is playing, they could go for it here, not thinking field goal. I mean, they're talking about first down. I think it's an easy first down. I think they should go for it.
Right now here, though, ball position, either just sit on it with the snap call and see if they can get an offsides in the first down.
I don't think so. I think you kick it into the corner, put it out of bounds, and give your defense great position.
And he goes for the corner, and he's not going to get it. Now let's see who is the quarterback for the Houston Oilers as they start.
After that, that's the only consideration from the coach's standpoint of keeping Cody on the sideline.
And here is Gary Brown. And he flies through for about 4 yards to the 24. It'll be second down and 6 as Mickey Washington moves up from defensive cornerback and stops it.
Maybe a little better explanation of that shoulder injury of Cody's. You know, you've got an AC joint, which is in your left shoulder there, where everybody kind of says, oh, the old shoulder joint there on top. Yeah, right on the top. Okay. A second-degree separation is where you could literally put a finger in that joint and feel a groove in there. So the ligaments and everything separate away. That is what Cody had, and that's why Kevin Gilbride, you see with him there, the assistant head coach, wants to keep him on the sideline. But at some point, they're giving up a game to save their quarterback off shoulder, non-throwing shoulder.
And here is the drive, Gary Brown. And he's out to the 27-yard line. So it'll go for 3. It'll be third down and 3. And one of the reasons the Houston Oilers that we think that this is also a possibility is the fact they did not make Cody Carlson the third quarterback. He was carried as the second quarterback, and therein also lies the thing.
Yeah, very important thing there. If he's a third quarterback, if they ever have to resort to him, he could never come out, and another quarterback can't go in for him. He's the second quarterback. If they bring him in, if he's effective, it's great. If he starts taking a shot or two, they can yank him right back out and put Billy Joe Tolliver in the number 3 or bring Bucky Richardson back in.
Right, third down and 3. Pressure from the backside, and he is sacked. So he's sacked at the 22. And Bruce Smith has his second sack of the ballgame. He had only a half sack coming in. He's got 2 in his battle against Bruce Matthews.
Well, remember what a timing offense this run and shoot is. It needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ball's got to be gone. Ball's got to be very gone. Quarterback gone.
Yeah.
If you don't get that ball out in this offense, make a decision quick and move. The linemen are at a disadvantage. Is going to get sacked.
Rich Camarillo has pressure again. He gets it out. And here is Jeff Burris. Picks up a block. Turns the corner. Cuts back. Still on his feet. Nice return. And he is out of bounds.
Sweet!
Bubba McDowell finally chases him.
Buffalo is getting good field position to move the ball in this offense, taking a very conservative approach, Charlie.
And they continue to move. The pass completed to Bellbrook. And he's going to pick up the first down. They started at the Houston 48 following the return of Jeff Burris. Joe Bowden makes the tackle. 37-yard line, gain of 11, first down. Thomas, somebody had a piece of his ankle just for a moment, slowed him up, and then he's going to pick up a yard. Lathan and Barrow finally stop him at the 36. So it'll be second down and 9.
Yeah, I talk about the running and the basic conservative nature of this hurry-up Bills type of an offense so far today. I think a lot of that's born out of their lack of worry of the Houston offense. I think they're thinking now they can afford to kick field goals and beat Houston the way the offense of the Oilers is moving the ball and not moving the ball.
They've been able to stop them time and time again.
Exactly. Why take the chance on offense?
Second and 9, going underneath the coverage. Brooks with the tackle. He makes the cut at the 20 to the 15, and he is down around the 13-yard line. Bubba McDowell finally got him. A gain of 23 yards on the play and the first down.
And just the kind of pattern that you associate with this team is a shorter type of a pass play that Jim Kelly says, okay, you catch the ball, and now you run with it. It's not a big play by design at catching point, but it is a big play by design of what he can do after.
Here is Burns just straight ahead. We'll mark it to the 10. It'll be second down and 7. Al Smith with the tackle. Jim Kelly having a very fine afternoon. 13 of 18, 158 yards, though exactly what you were talking about. You know, they're not taking the big gamble going up. Whatever they'll give us, that's what we'll take, and we'll just beat them just a little here and a little there.
And the only mistake Mark Levy has seen his quarterback make is that one pass over the middle to Steve Jackson interception.
Kelly now scrambles, has pressure. He throws this one away. I love it when a veteran quarterback throws it away. That's about 3 throws off in the stands.
Well, you know, unlike Mrs. O'Reilly there in the third row that the ball was thrown to, watch Andre Reed and tell you maybe he thinks he might have the ball here. Of course, receivers always think.
Well, and also remember, what was Kelly doing? Well, he was scrambling out to his left, and he had some pressure coming from the inside.
Yeah.
He was busy.
Yeah, he was busy.
He was busy. Third down and 7. Again, if the Oilers defense coach can hold them here, it's another field goal. That's just 3 more. They're still not out of it. He sets up, comes back far side, almost intercepted. Outstanding defensive play by Darrell Lewis. Perfect position on Bill Brooks.
And I think it's maybe a better defensive play by Bill Brooks, because Lewis had the inside position at the end of that play, and looked like Bill Brooks reached around with that right hand and slapped the ball away.
The other thing, the throw wasn't that good. A better throw could have been intercepted.
No, it was only, that's about the second throw Jim Kelly's had like that. The first throw that was low and inside over the middle, Steve Jackson grabbed, and here's Mr. Christie.
He's back again, 3 for 3.
He's breaking the pattern, though. He's moving back inside.
That's right. From the 19, an attempt at 29 yards. And he stays perfect on the afternoon. He is now 4 for 4.
And they're really admitting to if they're not willing to take a chance of using him to win a game.
Right, here's Lorenzo White on the return after the 15. Stumbles across the 25. A couple of flags are down. He goes to the 28-yard line on the return. Sam Rogers, the rookie taken in the second round from Colorado, will be a holding call against the Oilers.
I like the new hats our officials are wearing. The throwback hats.
The throwback hats, yes.
Yeah, you got that Payne Stewart. You can use them on the links next week.
Yes.
Holding 48 on the return team. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
And it's on John Henry Mills.
You talk about that head. Our referee, Ron Blum, is a golf pro up at Sonoma National out in California. So quite a golfer himself. Put that to good use.
Oh, yeah. And also, there is a story involving our head linesman, Dale Williams, that we want to bring to you in the second half. All right, Houston, from the Houston 11-yard line, first down. Richardson hands off to Gary Brown. And he's out to the 13-yard line. So gain of just a couple on the play. It'll be 2nd and 8. And Henry Jones makes the tackle. Henry Jones, one of the truly quiet men in the secondary of the Buffalo Bills. We were talking with their defensive coordinator, Walt Corey, and he said, he won't even finish his sentences. I tell everybody, you've got to talk up. You've got to talk to each other in coverage. He said, they're all so quiet and low key. They don't talk.
Well, between Washington, Jones, Darby, and Smith, it's like it's hard not to communicate.
But he throws far side. Pass is complete. And here is Ernest Gibbons, the missing man in the offense for the Oilers, the man who can really hurt you, and they finally find him.
Well, you know they're getting a little bit of something together, and they're making an effort to get the ball to Ernest Gibbons when they can get it to him this early. You've got to involve your game breaker, exciting type receiver, and you got to involve him early. If not early in the first half, you better sure get him involved early, because that's the kind of results Ernest Gibbons had here in his 9 years.
And he has caught 50 or more passes in each of his first 8 years in the NFL. Richardson goes deep, has a man, it is there. Webster Slaughter. 2 big-time plays for Bucky Richardson, and now the crowd gets back into the game. They're still for the tackle.
Well, I don't know what Cody Carlson and Kevin Gilbride were talking to Bucky about on the sideline there, but after that completion before and this 32-yarder here to Webster Slaughter, they have found something they like in the defensive backfield of the Buffalo Bills, and you know, you got to hope that for the excitement of this game, they can keep that thing going.
First down, Buffalo 42-yard line. We're just past the halfway point in the third quarter. Bills lead it 9-0. Back on the ground is Gary Brown. Darryl Talley with the tackle.
That was a very ho-hum 4 yards. I mean, when Gary Brown gets that body going north and south, and he's going to get that handoff about half a yard deep into the backfield. If you're an offensive lineman, you would best get yourself out of the way, because he hits that thing quick.
2nd and 7, 39-yard line. He picks up, as you see, 58 yards rushing. Here comes the blitz. Woods picks up. The pass is complete. It's Webster Slaughter. And he's going to spin his way, I believe, to the first down. Henry Jones had a fistful of jersey. And now the Oilers with some spark. It is a first down.
It was one of those, he had the first down, he didn't have the first down. He had the first down. By the time he fell back again, giving up the yards. But this is just what this Oiler offense and I think this Oiler crowd needs. This crowd needs an excuse to start cheering for these Houston Oilers. And if this offense can move it, that's the excuse they're going to have.
31-yard line, first down. Jack Pardee, the head coach of the Oilers. And the draw spinning out is Brown. And he saves about 3 yards. It looked for a moment as if he was stopped cold at the line of scrimmage, and Schultz and Townley finally had to pull him down at the 27.
Watch the football players. He leaves standing on the ground or laying on the ground. Bruce Smith. That was a hop and go, a shutter, whatever you want to call it. But a running back that big doesn't always make those moves. Barry Sanders does that, but he's nowhere near the size of Gary Brown.
Gary Brown, 5'11", 233 pounds. The drop pass is there, and he didn't look. He did not see it. Webster Slaughter simply did not see it, and the pass was right there.
Webster, you're lucky.
Ooh.
That thing could have hurt you.
Yeah. One more half step, it would have hit you in the ear.
That's right. Watch this. He is open. Good timing.
Never saw it.
Oh, my goodness. Of course, you know what the receiver says there, Charlie. The receiver says, how could he throw it behind me?
Yeah. It wasn't behind you, so you ran faster. All right. Third down and 6, 27-yard line. Bills leading 9-0. Pressure backside. He is sacked. And it is Bruce Smith. The ball pops loose. And remember, that was third down. And it is recovered by Cornelius Bennett. Meanwhile, Bruce Smith with his third sack of the ball game.
Well, if you want a good excuse from the Houston standpoint as to why, I guess, an injured Cody Carlson isn't in there, there's exactly why the coaches, I think, are keeping Cody Carlson on the sideline. They're worried about the 78 Express. How do you not block the best defensive end in football? I don't know. For the Oilers, you know, that big hit he just took is not the first one of his 2 starts. Last week, Charles Haley coming to the top of the screen, claiming not to hear the whistle. Wow. But at least the difference is he saw that one coming.
Here's Buffalo on the offense. Sherman Thomas is going to lose a yard back to the 40. It'll be second down and 11.
Well, you know, if you look at that hit that Charles Haley put on him and consider the hit that Bruce Smith puts on him here with nobody breathing on him. You don't free a man on the backside. You got to block him. Between that hit and the Haley hit, if Carlson had been in there, you wouldn't have seen Cody Carlson for about 4 or 6 weeks. That shoulder would have gotten smashed.
Second down and 11.
Well, Bruce Smith looking at those Polaroids. You might want to have somebody in the offensive line to do some autograph that thing for that free trip they get.
That is his third sack of the game. We understand that is a career high 3 in one game. Pass complete far side. This is to BB. Lewis takes him out. As you see there,
he's going. Can you believe that? Look at it right there. They didn't touch me.
And I got
Look at it. Save that one. See that? Look at him. Look at him. He's handed it over to his buddy. Says, look at this, but don't throw that away. I want that one. They didn't block me.
The line of scrimmage now the 47-yard line. Buffalo territory. Third down and 4. A little over 3.5 to go in the third. Over the middle, pass is complete, and a hit by Marcus Robertson on Andre Reed.
Well, you couldn't have a bigger contrast, I think, from the way a defense is playing and an offense is playing. As poorly as I think the Houston offense has played at times, in spite of the fact they rallied on that last possession a little bit, this Houston Oilers defense has been put time and time again in poor field position and has not given up much to this Buffalo defense.
And Ernest Givens is the return man for the Oilers. 4th down and 1. And here's the kick. It is straight up and straight down. That's a great kick. And it is fumbled and then recovered by Ernest Givens. He took a gamble on it, did not signal for the fair catch. Houston has the ball. Buffalo has the lead. 12-0. Sunday on NBC, when we have a hard-hitting NFL doubleheader. Most of you to see the first game in the first half of the doubleheader. That would be Miami against Minnesota. And that will be, of course, the matchup between Dan Marino and Warren Moon. Others to see: Cleveland, Indianapolis. Second half of the doubleheader: Cincinnati at Houston, San Diego, the Raiders, and New England at Detroit. It's all next week here on NBC. Houston with a first down at their own 27-yard line. And the handoff is to Gary Brown. Brown is out to the 30, maybe the 31-yard line. It's going to be second down and 6. Bruce Smith and Darryl Talley again making the tackle. How in the world did Bruce Matthews let Bruce Smith come free at the end of the last series for Houston? What happened?
You know, there was also a blitz inside. Henry Jones, coming from his strong safety position, was blitzing inside, and that's who Bruce Matthews ended up picking up. What I don't understand is why the offensive line isn't slid the other way to compensate and let somebody on the right side through that.
Here is Bucky, comes back, throws, pass is complete, flag down. The play will go to the 41-yard line, but let's see what the marker is all about. Pat Coleman on the receiving end, Thomas Smith with the tackle.
Well, ineligible receiver downfield on the Houston Oilers.
Now remember, the line of scrimmage is the 31-yard line.
I'm sure Bruce Smith would argue.
Ineligible receiver downfield. Number 84 was covered by the outside man. 5 yards, repeat second down.
Now what happened was the fact that he was up on the line of scrimmage was not the last man out. So he in reality is an offensive lineman and cannot go down because he was in the wrong spot in the formation.
And that's the problem. That's when you start getting a little out of sync. That's when things start going bad like that. It's a sure sign that it's an offense that just isn't right.
So the ball goes back to the 26-yard line. And it's second down and 11. Low snap. Bucky comes up with it, has pressure, and he was fouled. And it is Bruce Smith. That is number 4 in the ball game for Bruce Smith. He is having a career afternoon.
Figuratively and literally. Watch the speed right now. See him lower that left shoulder. Bruce Matthews gets 2 hands on him. Flannery gets 2 hands on him. And I don't care if he got 4 hands. If you don't get your body in front of Bruce Smith, you can forget about it when he's able to take the great route around like that. I mean, that's not a normal rush. He's 8-9 yards deep. That fumble snap put Bucky in the perfect position to swim.
And he comes back, throws underneath on the middle screen to Gary Brown. And Brown is cut down around the 24-yard line. That was third down and 21. Kurt Schultz with the tackle. For Bruce Smith, he has 4 sacks, minus 27 yards for the Oilers. And he also has caused a fumble. That I had for you earlier on the 3 sacks. Bruce Smith now with 4 sacks. That ties his career high of sacks in a game. And that was a game in 1990 against the Indianapolis Colts. So he still has time to set a new individual record. Meanwhile, Kelly is caught from behind, barely gets it off. It's going to be an incomplete pass. Now for an update of the NFL, let's go to Greg Gumbel in New York. Greg? Big spoiler in the league, a big surprise.
Well, I tell you what, if you think, you know, are they for real? All you got to do is ask Houston. Ask Houston about that.
Spot the ball at the. I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry. I lost my concentration.
No, basically, you know,
quick nap.
People want to say, are the Indianapolis Colts for real? Marshall Faulk's for real.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have any questions about the Colts, any question whatsoever, check with the Houston Oilers.
That's right.
Because that opening game, Houston made some pretty dumb mistakes, some big mistakes, but the Indianapolis Colts just kicked their rears.
So we'll take the countdown to the end of the third quarter. Here we go as we start the fourth quarter. 38-yard line, third down and 7. Kelly from the shotgun has pressure, steps forward, and he's going to be sacked. And it was Glenn Montgomery who got him. That was his second sack.
One of the reasons this Houston defense has been so successful, I think, in thwarting a lot of what the Buffalo Bills want to do.
Here's a flag.
Lined up in the neutral zone.
Lamar Latham.
5 yards, repeat third down.
So that nullifies the sack.
And I was just going to say, one of the things they've been doing is they've been giving different looks. Lamar Latham, basically a defensive end in Jeff Fisher's defense, was standing up as a linebacker, as a blitzer in that defense, giving a lot of variable looks, bringing up defensive backs, bringing up linebackers, and it's confusing a little bit, I think, the Buffalo offense.
Buffalo has converted only 1 of 9 previous third down opportunities. This is their second conversion. The tight end Pete Metzelaar pulls it in. Bubba McDowell with the tackle, and Buffalo retains possession.
Metzelaar is a very important part of that Buffalo offense. He's had an ankle that's been dinged up on him. It's been holding him back. And, you know, he's a guy that not only is an outstanding blocker, but Jim Kelly and his offense really rely on that #1 receiver from last year. 68 catches in clutch moments like that.
First down, Buffalo, their own 46-yard line. Bills have led all the way from nothing, courtesy of 4 field goals by Steve Christie. Don Beebe pulls it in, and Darrell Lewis pulls him down. And it'll be a first down.
To me, it's interesting to watch sort of the chess game going on between Jim Kelly, who calls the majority of his own plays when he's on the field, and Jeff Fisher, the defensive coordinator of the Houston Oilers. You've got the quarterback trying to read the defense, and you've got the defensive coordinator trying to get in the quarterback's head and call the defense.
Now, last week against the Cowboys, Houston blitzed almost 50% of the time. And here's to give to Thurman Thomas. They're showing a lot of blitz, but not as much as last week. Now let's go to New York for an update. Greg?
Yeah. A lot of the time.
They really haven't played well at all this week.
Yeah, they've had terrible teams there for quite a few years.
And here's Thurman Thomas. And we'll mark him a yard to the 37. It's going to be third down and 5. Kenny Davidson making the stop for Houston. To bring you up to date, just under 12.5 minutes left to go in the ball game. Houston trailing the Bills by a score of 12-0. But the Oilers, from a positive standpoint, defensively, they have kept Buffalo out of the end zone.
Nothing to celebrate in a loss, obviously, when you're losing like this. But if you're Jeff Fisher and this defensive staff, you've got to be extremely happy with the execution that your defense has done, because his guys really are outmanned. I think physically they're smaller. That's why they're blitzing so much. That's why he's got to go to so many different looks. And if he can keep this team and limit it to 12 points, he can go in the locker room after the game and say, I did my part.
Third down and 5. I think Buffalo's defense has done their part. They have shut down the Oilers so that Jim Kelly can simply take his time, play underneath, not gamble. A play-action fake, and then Kelly goes to his tight end, Pete Metzelaar. Now, remember, he only needed 5 yards for the first down. And he picks up more than enough. Blaine Bishop with the tackle. And the Bills have another first down. 30-yard line.
I love these hand signals, especially, you know, there's no high-tech microphones in the the free safety's helmet or the middle linebacker's helmet.
Looks like he's playing. That is the Elvis Presley defense.
He's a big Pete Townsend fan, you know.
Well, it's a heartbreak hotel for the Oilers, actually. It's Thurman Thomas. He's going to lose a yard, maybe 2. Bowden and Latham make the tackle.
You can't say enough. You know, talk about how undersized they are. And Lamar Latham, a young guy who's been a linebacker, just learning how to play defensive end. But this defense misses badly Sean Jones and William Fuller. Lee Williams, because of the knee. You know, it's a defense that didn't have to worry about their guys up front in the past. And look at the yards so far they've given up. What they've done right now is they've done to Buffalo what Buffalo usually does to offense. They've given them yards. They've made them move the ball. They haven't given up any touchdowns.
Second down and 11. Kelly hands off to Carwell Gardner, his fullback, and he has his second carry of the ball game. Al Smith makes the tackle. When he talked with Jim Kelly, you know, we asked him about the radio, the helmet radio. He doesn't like it at all.
He doesn't need it.
Well, that's true, because he calls most of his own plays. That's kind of it's a throwback NFL weekend. Well, that's kind of a throwback, because very few quarterbacks call their own plays. I know that Lynn Dawson, the Hall of Famer with Kansas City when we worked together, is that he always called his own play. He said it was so important because, like, if you were his offensive center, he would turn to you in the huddle and say, "Where do you want me to go?" And you have to say, "Right over me," and he got everybody involved in the game.
And I was always the first one to tell him where to go, too.
Third down. Kelly has pressure, and he dumps it off.
Just a great call. You got to be feeling the ebb and the flow of this whole thing offensively and defensively. It is indeed.
Game. And it is there. And Steve Christie, 5 of 5. And Buffalo leads it 15-0. They called it the 8th wonder of the world. Here's Lorenzo White on the return to the 25-yard line, down around the 27-yard line, where the Houston Oilers will go to work. And right now we go to New York for an update. Greg?
All right, Charlie, at Cincinnati, Drew Bledsoe is at it again. From 35 yards out, watch him nail this one. Michael Timpson, and a nice catch by Timpson in the end zone. The two-point conversion was missed. New England leading Cincinnati now 25-20, last minute of the third, Charlie.
It's going to be fun to watch over the next few years, Drew Bledsoe and Rick Myers of Seattle, because they came in at the same time, and they both are very good young quarterbacks.
I think they're playing in the wrong offenses. After seeing Meyer, I think he belongs in the more conservative style that Bill Parcells wants to play.
I think you're right. Houston now from their own 27-yard line. Bucky Richardson back. He goes deep into double coverage. And incomplete. Ernest Givens went up, but he was a sandwich. Jeff Burroughs was there, along with another defender for the Bills. It'll be 2nd and 10.
Well, there were 3 guys there. One was an Oiler, and Givens had less than a 33% chance of getting that one. He was behind him, but only because he was being blocked out at the very end. Watch how the defensive back sandwich in and really block out any chance for a mistake or a tip to get to the wide receivers. A nice job of teamwork.
So bring it back to the 27-yard line. Oilers in their own territory. They have been shut out in the ball game. Bucky trips as he goes back. And he is down at the 20. A loss of 7 is going to be 3rd and 17.
Well, you know, earlier this week there was a phone poll. 83% of the fans called in and said, "We want Bucky." I wonder if they got another quarter, if they'd still vote 83% that he's the guy to lead this offense.
It's been a bit of a struggle for the rookie quarterback, no question about it. 7 hurries, no knockdowns. He's been sacked 5 times. He had 1 deflection. Now he scoots forward. He goes deep. Slaughter's behind the secondary and has it. Webster Slaughter. And he had to slow up just a step, or they might have had the touchdown. He got behind Matt Darden.
And remember, Bucky Richardson is throwing this ball on the run. He is running for his life when he chunks this thing at the end. The outside receiver right there in the middle. See that? He's free. He's open. Give it to me. Give it to me. Hits him on the run. You're absolutely right, Charlie. That's their point.
57 yards on the play to the Buffalo 23-yard line. And here is Gary Brown as he comes over the top. A couple of yards to the 21. It'll be 2nd down and 8. You're trailing 15-0. Why are you running the ball?
That's probably what Buffalo's saying right now. I think it's a change of pace. It's a call trying to get a quick hitter for 10, 15 yards down the middle of the field when everybody else is expecting him to pass. But they cannot afford to go short.
No, and you know, they're beginning to run out of time. 7:52 and counting left in the game. Here's pressure. He slips away from the sack, scrambles, and he does not slide. Now they say he has the mentality of a linebacker, and he was perhaps of a fullback. And a couple of Bills come up limping as they collided as he escaped. There's Bruce Smith and Darryl Talent.
Well, they met at the quarterback, and I don't know how Bucky Richardson got away from those 2 guys.
But he did. What do they call that? Escapability? It'll be 3rd down and 5.
The folks at Webster's cringe every time somebody says that.
Nasty letter to Papa. 3rd down and 5. Now here is Brown. cuts back inside 8-yard line.
That's why they did that. All right. Everybody's expecting the pass, and they give him that little draw. It's very well blocked. Watch the defenders come up the field and expect the pass. They're thinking Bucky, Bucky, Bucky. Nope, Gary, Gary, Gary. And he just keeps going. A lot of bodies on bodies, and that low, aggressive running style of Gary Brown.
Keith Gogenius makes the tackle, 8-yard line, first down, goal to go. Oilers trail 15-0, 6.5 left to go. Here's pressure straight up the middle, and he's throwing it away. Smart play.
And one thing that comes into the mindset of the offensive coaches right here for the Houston Astros, or Houston Oilers. It is 15-0, Charlie. It's a 3-score thing. You got to get in the end zone. You got to start thinking about that 2-point conversion if you can get this ball in the end zone. And one way to stop a young quarterback, give him things he doesn't expect. And one thing he doesn't expect is a safety blitz right up the gut, right over the center.
Second down, goal to go. With the new rule, it is a 2-score, 2 touchdowns. Go for the deep. Oh, knocked away in zone. Good defensive play by Jeff Burris. Pass on target to Ernest Givens. His money receiver, and Burris makes one of the nice plays of the day for the Buffalo Bills.
You need a big play. That's who you go to. It looked more like the ball was there before Burris was there, but that ball just came out.
All right, it's third down and 6. Excuse me, third down and goal at the 8. Trailing 15-0, obviously in 4-down territory. Has time, throws in zone, intercepted. Going up and bringing it down is Matt Darby as he intercepts in the end zone.
I don't think you have to worry about Matt Darby and the defensive back being too quiet. Naturally, every free safety ought to do in that situation. You play the middle of the field, you read the quarterback's eyes, and if you're real lucky like Matt was, he makes that kind of a throw, takes that kind of a chance, and you make it safe.
With a touchback, the Buffalo Bills start from the 20, now from the 24, as Thurman Thomas picks up 4. It'll be second down and 6. And we have an Oiler down, so we have an injury timeout. Clock is stopped with...
The most familiar with and the most comfortable with, and actually what Jim Kelly's gone to is using the huddle now to use up some of the clock. Very similar offenses. Except I don't like that no huddle. You have to run too much.
Right. Thurman Thomas is going to lose a couple. And Houston now stops the clock. 5:29 left in the fourth. Third down and 9. Looks from the outside and is wobbly and low. Lamar Latham was putting the pressure. Beebe the intended receiver. Thurman Thomas has rushed for 82 yards.
It's amazing when you can actually celebrate about holding a guy like Thurman or Emmett who are around 90 yards.
That's right.
I'll tell you guys can remember this game is Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly has taken some shots. He took another one at the end of that play there, and a lot of ice bags and bumps and bruises on that well-worn body of Mr. Kelly's right there. I mean, he's only got so many spots left to hit that never been hit on him.
I'll tell you something interesting, though. The Oiler defense has held Thurman Thomas to only 14 yards rushing in the second half, and that's only 11 carries. And here's the kick. And here is Gibbons on the return. Can he get around the corner? Needs a block. Down the sideline, 50, 45, and then is bumped out of bounds by the kicker, Chris Moore.
Did a little more than bump him out, Charlie. That was impressive. He went out. He almost started a fight on the sideline.
And Ernest Gibbons wanted a piece of him, didn't he?
He said, give me that punter.
Look at those eyes. He's ready. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Is a punter to do this. Whack. Hit him high, knock him out of bounds. Now watch this. Starlo Gardner's got him by the back. Holding him back. Don't hurt my guy.
Bucky is scrambling, and he throws it away. And there's a flag down at the 33-yard line.
Hey, Bruce Smith was, he was a-coming.
Yes, he was. He was going after sack number 5 and couldn't quite get there.
Another illegal receiver downfield being called here. No doubt the Houston lineman trying to look out for their quarterback went down a little too far.
The line of scrimmage was the 39-yard line. I believe he said, let's refuse it. Don't give him another opportunity. One less chance.
73 offense illegally downfield. Penalty is declined. Second down.
That's David Williams, the right tackle. So it is 2nd and 10 at the Buffalo 39-yard line. Steve Christie with 5 field goals for the Buffalo Bills. That has been the scoring. Bucky, pressure, slips away, slips out of bounds. He is elusive, isn't he? Mickey Washington was chasing him.
He can get out and he can move. I mean, too bad this isn't the Veer offense. He'd be a star. But I
remember the 26, 1988. That's 6 years ago. And that was the truth. Pump fake, slips another tackle, pressure from the backside, cuts inside, 19-yard line. He gains 9. Mickey Washington with a tackle is going to be 2nd and 1.
Now there's an example of, you know, Bucky on the last 2 plays has not thrown the ball down the field and tried to make something happen. He's tucked it up and he's taken the run and not taken the chance with the ball in the air.
You mentioned something, of course, we talk about Bucky Richardson, only his 2nd start, young quarterback. The fact of what you brought up, the receivers have to learn to look for him and find out where he is, and he's everywhere. Here's Gary Brown. He's going to be dropped for a loss.
By the guy on defense that's been everywhere, Bruce Smith.
He has, hasn't he?
I tell you, there's going to be other players around the league have big games this week. It always happens. But this guy's got to be the defensive player of the week so far.
No question about it.
Unbelievable. Watch him take the inside. You worried about the outside? Blocking down? Well, there's a second example we've had today of no one blocking a great defensive player.
Touchdown. Houston Oilers, Pat Coleman. Rather than the possibility of 8 and 8 is 16. One more than Buffalo if you can do it again.
Well, the thinking would be I got 3:51 to go in the game. It's 15-7. We got to hope our special teams or defense can make a big play because our offense has made the first big play for us today. Bucky Richardson, that's why they like him. He's scrambling, and where exactly he goes and how he gets there. Bucky's scrambling and going, and just a plain case of, you know, you find your guy, you get behind your guy, I'm going to get you the ball.
And Thurman Thomas off the right side. 3:35 and counting, time remaining in the game. Joe Bowden with the tackle. Buffalo leading 15-7.
The best way to take hope out of a football team when you have them down like this is they use this big physical offensive line and smash the hope out of them. Glenn Montgomery's a little shaken up again on that last play as he was earlier on the last series for the Oilers.
Dr. Robert Fain, the team physician, he's had a busy afternoon for Houston, hasn't he? And don't forget, next week, the doubleheader on NBC, the big game in the first half of the doubleheader. And Houston is going to the offside, and that will cost him a first down. Remember, 2nd down and 2. And I believe it was Tim Roberts that stepped in. They had a blitz also coming. But Roberts was in the neutral zone, and that'll be a quick 5 yards and a first down. 3 minutes and a second, time remaining.
68 defense, offside, 5 yards, first down.
And with this strategy going on here, you know, Jeff Fisher and the Oilers defense, they know exactly what Jim Kelly's going to call in this huddle. He's going to call Thurman Thomas right, Thurman Thomas left, and if that doesn't work, he'll put Thurman Thomas up the middle. He's just going to put his large bodies in the white jerseys all over the guys in Oilers blue.
Interesting, though, he does not take the full countdown of the clock. That snap came with still 17 seconds to go on the play clock, and it is, as you say, Thurman Thomas with a tackle.
Old habits die hard, Charlie. When you're used to snapping the ball at, you know, you're used to snapping the ball at about 20-25, you got to go. You see Thurman Thomas sneaking up on that 100-yard mark, and That'll be the second one of the year for this Oilers defense.
All right, and Houston takes a timeout. The quarterback, Golden Wheels, Albert Dubinion, and Paul McGuire was the punter. Now, of course, with NBC. Carwell Gardner off of the right side. And he should pick up the first down. Michael Barrow makes the tackle. So it's been a bit of a throwback afternoon, particularly from a scoring standpoint, too. I thought we'd gone all the way back to the 20s.
Yeah, I say that there's a lot of guys that don't like the situation with the new uniforms and the new this. I mean, guys like in Chicago and Pittsburgh that are forced to wear these really pretty bizarre-looking uniforms. Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, who you know quite well, Charlie.
Yes.
I mean, he made it very, very clear what he thought of the new way to dress on the sideline. Not a real fan of the snazzy gear.
The new look. No. Well, he's a basic kind of guy.
I'll tell you what, he's a defensive coordinator, is extremely talented. He had to learn the offense, the rest of the offense learned.
And around the right side, here's Thurman Thomas inside the 30, and he is over the 100-yard mark.
And if you're going to go over 100, you might as well go way over 100. Don't eke over it.
Lane Bishop with the tackle.
Watch the right side. This is the counter play. You got Lucina coming from one side. You got Parker, the tackle. And you got a lot of lonely space and AstroTurf out in front of Thurman Thomas, because if that tackle isn't made there, he is gone.
113 yards rushing. Now, he told us he would like to have a total of 150 yards. And he is getting close to that, because you can just factor in 19 yards receiving. So he is well on his way to his personal mark here in his hometown of Houston, Texas.
Observance of your 35th anniversary of covering the NFL here as Jim Kelly takes a knee. Now, how do you like these buttons,
I
Charlie?
like those.
What do you
I
think?
like those.
You know, I'm
Nice.
I know you know they look a lot better on her than it does on me.
I don't even notice the button, if you want to know the truth.
And Charlie Jones 35 continues. The tour.
Oh, the tour, yes. And, of course, I was in 1960, one of the first teams that I covered, the Houston Oilers. Again, we mentioned that earlier at Jefferson Stadium, a high school stadium. The stadium is still here. It's where Carl Lewis works out.
Yeah, it's funny. You talk about 1960. We saw that picture of me in the first grade. There's a gentleman here that's working this game that I was around just about that time when I was actually about 8 years old.
Right at the top of the screen?
Right at the top of the screen right there. Dale Williams, his head linesman number 8. He was my umpire in Little League, umpire in Pony League, Colt League. He officiated my high school football games. He officiated my college football games at UCLA. 2 years after I came to the NFL, Dale Williams came to the NFL, and he officiated quite a few of my games in the NFL, probably about 11 years worth. Great man, has been at this job for an awful long time, and you know he's been at it a long time, Charlie. He's got the number 8.
Yes, that's right. Because we're up in the hundreds now. And, of course, Buffalo just content now. The Oilers out of timeout to make it official and take the countdown. The final score will be Buffalo 15 and Houston 7. Bucky Richardson in his second start, Marv Levy. When we asked him yesterday how good is his team, he said it is too early to know. I'll have to wait till maybe the midpoint of the season to tell you how good we're going to be. Again, the final. Buffalo 15 and Houston 7. The Oilers now, their backs to the wall. They are 0-3. We'll be back in just a moment.